Let's go to Kevin Walling, Democratic strategist. He joined us today from Washington to talk some more about this. Kevin, thanks for your time.
Good to be with you.
So not a big surprise here that O'Rourke has finally entered the race. What do you make of his position in that race? How much weight do you give him?
Sure, it's a great question. Well, and now there's 15 announced candidates for the Democratic primary. We're still 10 months away from the Iowa caucuses, so this is the earliest we've seen these many candidates announced. I think Beto O'Rourke has a really compelling narrative. As you pointed out, he got within 3 points of beating Ted Cruz in a state like Texas in a midterm election, which was incredibly difficult. His campaign raised over $80 million. The majority of that was from small grassroots donors from across the country that really were taken by his message. So I think it's going to shake things up. I think he, as you're seeing already in some of the polls out of Iowa, in New Hampshire, you still have Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris, and those top three parts in terms of the polling. But I think you're going to see him crowding that field and moving farther up.
What does he bring that's different to this race?
Yeah, so I mean, he's running from a border state like Texas. He talks a lot about his roots in El Paso, which is right on the border with Mexico. So he has a lot of moral clarity when it comes to the immigration debate. And I think, as you saw in his announcement video and his speeches across Iowa today, that's going to be a cornerstone of this election. Obviously, the president wants to talk about that, too. So I think that narrative is really important. He was really successful in Texas with the Latino vote. I think he got nearly 70% of that in his race against a Latino, Ted Cruz. So I think that's going to be an important part of his race. But I think too, he's got a really compelling narrative. He's in that, in those Oxford shirts, kind of unbuttoned, reminiscent of a Bobby Kennedy. And again, the question is, do Democrats in the primary fall in love with a candidate like Beto O'Rourke, or do they go more with their head and a safer choice like Joe Biden, the former vice president?
Many have talked about race being a factor, of course, as well as gender, because they're looking for somebody anti-Donald Trump. And Beto O'Rourke, of course, doesn't fit quite that mold.
Sure. Yeah, and again, that's an excellent point. 60% of the Democratic primaries is women voters, and a large percentage of those women are women of color, right? So you have a really compelling story with Kamala Harris, senator from California. You have a fellow Texan in Julian Castro, the former HUD secretary, who's running as the only Latino in the race. So I think there will be some question in terms of the demographics in this primary and who most aligns with coalitions that they can bring together. Again, with 15, maybe 16 with the vice president, Joe Biden, entering the race, who wins Iowa? They might win by just 10, 15% in that kind of crowded field. So if you can put together those numbers in a basic kind of group of coalitions, I think you'll be successful.
Got it. Kevin Walling, I appreciate your time. We've got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you.